6:30 p.m. At this time, we have public participation. There is none. We're going to move down to staff report. Dr. Porter.
Thank you, President Barty. Tonight we have a full house, so we are excited. First of all, the most that I think we're excited about, we see our students out, and that is great. And these are students from Youth in Government that attended state competition, and they're going to share some ideas with us. And we also have our athletic director, Brian Morgan, and he has his entourage I see out there with him, and they're going to share some plans of how they're going to move forward as we move through the 22-23 school year. A couple of things prior to that. We do have our budget process up and moving, so we're getting ready we're having our meetings, we're moving forward, we're trying to figure out how we're going to balance our budget for the 22-23 school year. So things are looking well, and we're okay with that, and it's a good time to be in education. I hope some of you who came up to the front, saw the monuments outside. And those monuments really look nice. They're a part of our past. So you see all of the wonderful things that our students earned as they were playing football, basketball, baseball. And so we put them all right there for everyone to see. It's not done yet. There's a lot more that needs to be done. There's some more parts that are coming to the front, but once it's completed, it's going to be beautiful. And so we're excited about it. On Tuesday, we returned back to school, and of course, that was questionable due to the weather. Port Arthur Independent School District decided that we would come back and we would have the 2-hour delay. And for multiple reasons that occurred. First of all, we can look at the screen, we can read, and we can comprehend to try to figure out what it is we need to do for our students and our staff. Never, ever would we put anyone in danger, first of all. So we looked to see exactly what was going on. It's important for our students and our parents to understand that education is the most important thing for our students. It is the most important thing for the Port Arthur community. No other entity closed on Tuesday. The beauty shops were open, the grocery stores were open, the HEBs were open, the malls were open, and we were not going to close down the school system and be the first to do it for the weather that was proposing to come to us. So we stand on that, and we stand that education, and the students that are sitting here, you need to hear this. Education is the most important thing you will ever do, especially in grade school. And we hope that our community starts to understand that. We're not closing down because there's going to be showers. Those of us that have lived in Port Arthur for years understand that it has rained, it has stormed, it has done all kinds of things, and we've been in school. Students, please understand that without an education, you go nowhere. You're limited. And we as adults must instill in this community that it is important. It is the most important when it comes to students. So we were open, and it turned by 10 o'clock, 10:30, the sun was shining, and we felt good about being open. And anytime it rains, and I had someone tell me, they say, we know he's not gonna close school down. And I want them to understand, no, I'm not. So unless there's a hurricane and Noah's Ark is floating by, we're going to be in school, okay? On tomorrow, and you'll hear more about this, we have the PA relays, tomorrow Port Arthur relays on tomorrow. And I'm sure Master Darrell Granger is going to talk about that. And what else? And I think that's it for me right now. So I'm going to call Mr. Morgan, our athletic director, up. And board members, you do have a card in front with some things, athletic department review and outlook. So Coach Morgan, if you would introduce those that are with you, and you can get started.
That's more than I thought. quite a few. I'll go starting from the back. Coach Chris Bradford's our head soccer coach. Coach Arlington Nunn coaches football and golf. Coach Daryl Granger, everybody knows, is our track coach. Coach Kevin Henry is our girls basketball coach. Coach Ahmad Smith coaches baseball and football. Coach Tammy Roberts coaches girls track, cross country. Coach Alden Lewis basketball. Lori Hampshire works in the athletic department. DeMar does everything, drive buses for the athletic department, anything we need. Coach Anderson coaches softball.
Okay. One of our board members asks that you stand and you start over and have your coaches to stand as you call their name.
No problem. No problem. All right, Chris Bradford, coach of soccer. Arlington Nunn, Coach Daryl Granger, Coach Kevin Henry is our girls basketball coach. Coach Anderson, our softball coach. Lori Hampshire works in our athletic office. Alden Lewis, boys basketball. Tammy Roberts, girls track. Ahmad Smith, our baseball coach.
Okay. Great.
Just get started on a few things, and you have something in front of you. Just some things we talked about 2 years ago, just kind of where we were and then where we're going, and just kind of answer any questions that you may have. Just football-wise, I thought we had a really good last couple of years with a really seasoned team, and obviously a veteran quarterback, some really good football players. To go 17-4 over the last 2 years. The next year, I think we're going to be solid again. We've got some new faces. We've really benefited, I think, just from fortunate of young men moving in the district over this past year, which has been really good. And those of you that know what is coming in the 8th grade class at both TJ and Lincoln is really, really special. When you put those two classes together, is really, really special. So excited to see those young men come together. Just the district commitment to athletic facilities has been second to none in all phases, just trying to really elevate what we're doing athletically. From a perception, people come to our place, people come to our track meet tomorrow, they're all wowed at our building, wowed at the schools, wowed at, we had a turf practice field, and that's a huge deal. Probably more than you realize. There's more parents making decisions on what school to go to based on athletic facilities than you probably realize. And that's the nature of it. So we're doing a great job there. I thought our softball program, Coach Anderson, has done a heck of a job of just bringing structure, bringing competitiveness to something that really for a long time didn't have that, and even more so without a solid youth program in the city of Port Arthur. As far as community goes, we're super fortunate last year to have Bolton Ford reach out and commit to sponsoring our athletic program and giving $25,000, which that's an awesome deal. Raising Cane's has really been there for us at any time that we call and ask and we need them. Hey, look, we need some meals for our coaches retreat, whatever it is, they're there for us, which has been really great. As far as reaching out to the youth, something that I've been big on, this last year we went what we called the Fireballs, and it was a small fundraiser, but allowed all the youth kids to run out the tunnel before the football games. I think we did it for 2 games. This year we're going into every game, and I think that's a big deal. One, it draws, obviously the parents have to come to the game, so it draws more fans to games, and it gets the youth there wearing the school colors, get a t-shirt, and running through the tunnel is a fun thing for young kids. This past year we had a coaching clinic for all of our Pop Warner coaches, Pop Warner leagues that are around town, really just for them to get to know our coaching staff, talk some football, and then answer questions they may have. And then this year we did again, and then we'll continue to do it. We do a free youth football camp for all of our youngsters in town. We'll do that again this year. It's something we're kind of looking to expand on. I thought a big deal that we put in place this year, and speaking of Coach Granger, was kind of restructuring the track program, the girls track program specifically. But Coach Granger is now over both of them, along with Coach Roberts. But that's been probably the biggest immediate impact as far as track goes. That the girls' side is running times that they hadn't run in a couple of years, and that's early in the season. So kudos to both of them. And then something we're doing football-wise this spring, right after track season, in our athletic period, we're doing a book study over a book called Don't Be a Dumb Job. So trying to reach outside of just sports for these young men. Down at the bottom, just some things we're working on. I've met with counselors, principals, administration, things that we're trying to get to. Some of it's done, some of it's in process, some of it's a 3 or 4 year process. And vertical alignment's a huge deal. A lot of people talk about it. We're very, very close to it. It's been super helpful from all the secondary principals of adjusting schedules, adjusting classes, to where all of our athletes 9 through 12 really can benefit from it. So starting in the fall, our freshman boys will have their own athletic period, which they had this year, but they will be at the first block of the day, which really allows them and the girls access to our weight room facilities that currently, just because of numbers, you don't have. So our girls will be during the second period, both freshman and high school. At the end of the day, all of our high school boys are already in athletics. And the part that we're working on takes a lot of schedules adjusting, and the counselors and principals are being super helpful, is working on the middle school athletic periods. And the middle school athletic periods are big because if I can get the boys' athletic periods at the middle school in the morning, since my football period is in the afternoon, I can go down there and see middle school kids in the morning. So that's a big deal, and kind of vice versa with the girls. So we're working on that. Like I said, that is a process. We're about halfway there, but it's something, I think it's going to come along. Talked about it already. Let's not fool ourselves. Sports are talent-driven. All right, if you get a bunch of really, really good players, you're a good coach, and we've been really, really fortunate just by the brand, just by facilities, just by school facilities, that people are wanting to come here, and they're wanting to move to Port Arthur. How can we do that? How can we be in these athletic programs? I've gotten calls probably at least one a day the last 10 days of kids. Hey, how can I be here? And that's a process in itself, but that's really attributed to everybody here and school board committing to doing those things. The other thing we've looked at, and between Dr. Getwood and Coach Lewis, is kind of restructuring the James Gamble Classic. A lot of those of you have basketball ties, a lot of the basketball is leaning more towards shootout rather than tournaments, and some of you guys know the difference, and it's real similar. But just something that we're kind of looking at doing this year to try to just restructure that tournament that happens at Christmas time and really draw some really good teams during that winter break. Also, something that we want to get back to, we did a few years ago before kind of COVID shut everything down and tried to kind of be safe, is getting our kids back into elementary schools. And that's something we did throughout football season. Before COVID was, we'd take some kids over to each elementary school and read to those kids and just wear your jersey, a couple of cheerleaders, a couple of football players. But I think it's important for our kids to understand giving back to the community. And I think that's a huge deal that we want to get back to and kind of increase that. And then the other things that we've got to, I think at elementary level, especially elementary PE, you can really create some school spirit in elementary PE because you kind of have some alternative ways to punish kids by Fridays, but not wearing red and black. You kind of create school spirit at that level. So I think that's some things we can definitely expand on. We've already kind of, in our athletic budget, kind of accounted for increasing our student meal allotment. $7 to feed a kid is not realistic in today's society, just inflation. You can't go to McDonald's for $7 and feed a kid. And I think it's very important if I just ask the kid to run through a wall for 4 hours that I feed him and treat him right. I think that's very, very important. So we've already been able to raise that just through dollars already in our budget. As I talked about, we are looking at expanding our youth camp opportunities. We want to get back to having our basketball camps and everything throughout the summer. Just things that kind of died down because of COVID, and sometimes you get comfortable with it. We need to get back to expanding all that. Our middle school increments is something that we've had discussions about as far as administrative level. Is really, that's a key level for us of retention, of teaching fundamentals. We've got to find ways to increase the quality of hires there, and dollars obviously is one of the key ways. And then down at the bottom, you do have something, and something that's very important to me is if we are going to become elite and not just want to do it, but very, very much actually do it, not just talk about it, is we got to do what elite programs do. And it's a district-wide commitment. I think elementary PE has to be an everyday thing. I know statewide it's not an everyday thing, but it's something that we need to get to, is having elementary PE every day. We have a generation that doesn't move much, sits on the iPad and sits on the phone and sits on the game and all that, but don't move very much. So if they can move for 30, 45 minutes a day, even though the state requirement is only 3 days a week, that's a huge advantage we can do. And then getting sixth grade pre-athletics, which is something we're already putting in place this coming year for our sixth grade athletic periods. Really, they can't participate in UIL sports, but they can go through practice during an athletic period. They can fill out a grade sheet. They can dress out to where it's ingrained in their head when they get to the seventh grade. The only difference I have in the seventh grade is now I go to practice after school. They're already in that athletic mindset in the sixth grade. And so that's something, seventh and eighth grade, we're getting to. I think we're getting really good participation in the seventh, eighth grade. And for me, in every sport in the seventh and eighth grade, let's just get kids out. get kids out. Don't turn them away. Don't cut anybody. Get kids out. Get kids participating. Because some kids are going to be good at certain sports. Some kids are going to develop at different, especially position-wise in different sports. So that's something we got to continue to do. And we just got to really work on, like I say, getting vertical alignment done. It's easy to say and easy to talk about, but we're halfway there. So, kind of take any questions you guys have.
Trustees, do you have any questions with Mr. Lofton?
How you doing, Coach? Now, first off, I like the idea that you said that kids are starting on 6 and 7, but we all know to compete on a high level, it has to start way before then. It has to start. You can't tell a kid in the 6th or 7th grade to pick up a softball. She already be 5 years behind. So why not? I was looking at your paper, and you got, player motor skills development and sports introduction. Sports introduction should be implemented in elementary with our gym coaches that we have. So by the time they do get to 6th and 7th grade, they're already on we're on a level playing field. We share, all sports basically share the same kids in our school district. Football has to share with basketball, has to share with track. So starting them earlier than 6th grade, we should be starting 2nd and 3rd grade, getting their mind developed. We used to have our track club. We got to have our basketball. I think we should be trying to have like camps and skill development training. And we got all these new gyms in the district, and they're all empty in the evening. We got brand new tracks. Well, they filled up now because track, but they need to be put to use.
Sure. Well, and as you talk about sport introduction, what we did put in place this year in elementary PE is we actually put it in the curriculum. Those sports are in the elementary curriculum now. So they're introduced basically based on what the UIL sport of the time is going on, right? So if football is going on or basketball is going on at the high school level, that should be taught and being working on fundamentals at the elementary level. Last year in the fall, we had a one-day volleyball camp where all the elementary girls came up and had volleyball camp at our place. We're doing that with soccer here at the month of April.
We just can't do it. No kid is going to learn just one time.
I 100% agree, but I will say 100% disagree with you that it's elementary PE's job to teach them a sport. I think they can participate in it, but the kids that are excelling in sports, they're excelling outside. They're all high-skill sports that take more than the introduction. They take the time outside of it. The kids that you're introducing sports, you can introduce it in elementary school, but you're not getting to that point unless you're taking the time outside at home.
But that's what we want to provide. A lot of our kids can't get specialized training outside, but if we have the facilities and the people that want to provide it, why not provide our own specialized training right in Port Arthur?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's turning down anybody that wants to provide that.
We got to provide it.
We do, but as an athletic department, we pay for UIL sports by state law. We can't pay for anything under 7th through 12th grade athletics.
Can't.
So we can provide it. We can provide a space, like say, I know there's track clubs, AU track clubs that are, I think they're going to use the Lincoln track as their home facility going forward as they, this summer. So I think there's definitely space and opportunity, but we can't provide it ourselves.
Okay. Also, do we still do SAT and ACT prep for our athletes?
Yeah,
not just football, but all our athletes.
Yeah, there's a specific class that most of our seniors are in. And that's the time, they've got plenty of time in their schedule to get that class. There's a specific class at the high school, SAT, ACT prep. And then I will say on the SAT, ACT prep, as far as NCAA eligibility, the SAT and ACT is no longer needed for kids to go to college. So our kids that are graduating now, Jalen Gilbo, Jamar Sanders, don't even have to take it anymore. So it's becoming a moot point, and I think most schools are going straight GPA, are getting away from SAT and ACT.
Mr. Gillard and then Ms. Ambrose.
Hey, Coach. I want to commend you. Everything is looking great. I had the opportunity to participate this past summer with the summer program for the athletics. What I want to ask to you today is, what are your plans for diversifying when we look at the student population? and diversification, and those that are participating. What are your plans to get more students involved in the program? Because we know we have, soccer team, and we have kids that preference soccer. What are your plans to encourage those students that are not participating that can? Because I think our program could be much greater if we address those students that are not participating. So,
that are not participating in sports at all.
and we got some athletes that are not participating.
I think 100% we do. Coach Lewis and I spend our time at breakfast and see quite a few guys walk by, and obviously football, you see some big bodies walk by. You say, man, what's going on? Why aren't you playing football? And I think there's a disconnect. I think that between 8th grade and 10th grade is where you lose kids. A lot of kids will participate in 8th grade because their buddies do it. It gets really hard after 8th grade, just the demands of it. And I think that's where you lose kids. And then I found that, at least for our kids, our football kids, if you can get them locked in mentally, by the time they finish 10th grade and get them working and locked in mentally, they're solid. They're going to be with you through their 12th grade. If they're not, if they get in the streets and they want the street life by the 10th grade, you're not going to get them. And it's a small window right there. It's between the 8th grade and kind of the end of their 10th grade year that we've kind of noticed. Hey, when those kids, especially get in the streets, they respond differently. They become grown in their mind. They don't function under structure. And I think that's where you lose kids. And we ask kids all the time, hey, man, why don't you do something? You're 6'3". Why aren't you doing something? Why aren't you playing basketball? Why aren't you running track? But I think it's just the constant communication with them. I think the middle school is the biggest deal. Can't lose them in middle school. You got to force kids to do everything. That's the biggest deal.
Well, I guess you might miss me. I was speaking of the Hispanic and Latino community and getting them more involved in football and basketball versus soccer or baseball. How can we cross-pollinate? Because we got a lot of talent that we're just missing. I don't know if there's been a conscious effort to include them in the process or the equation, but there's a lot of talent, a lot of opportunity. And I think some of our attendants, once we start making the effort, because we've seen other programs throughout Houston that have been successful. And when you look at the diversity on the field, that's what made them so good, because they had more kids, more bodies, bigger, stronger. And that's why, one of the things I'm thinking that we have an opportunity, because looking at our community, it's an opportunity to embrace the entire community through our athletic program. And I think this would be a great opportunity if we put some effort toward it.
Yeah, on the Hispanic side of things, you're going to have to start young, especially in skill sports, right? If a 10th grader comes out there and that's his first time playing football, as Lofton just said, it's too late. Hey, love to have you in the program. Love to have you. It's too late. You're just behind physically, you're behind the game. But it starts, I think, more and more you're seeing more participate. I think that's just depends on the families and how Americanized they are. And I think that there's a big difference in that. And you see even like in Little Titans, there's a good bit of more Hispanic kids participating. Then at the high school level, they're starting younger, right? Starting younger. If you're starting in high school, it's too late. It's too late in middle school, probably. We're going to have to start these kids at Pop Warner, at Little Titans, and I can tell you just from a couple years ago, I was at elementary school, saw some big kids, and sent a message to Mr. Lofton and say, we got to get these are some big old kids. They're just not participating, maybe it's family reasons, whatever, but you got to reach them at that age. I think getting to elementary schools is probably how you're going to get them at least interested the first time.
Thanks, Coach.
Ms. Ambrose.
Well, I'm not as sports savvy as Mr. Lofton or Mr. Guillory, so I'm going to just offer my congratulations to you and your staff for your continued efforts, the work that you do with the kids. And the only thing that I really want to say is I think as important as the sports is, academics is equally as important, and I would just like to ensure that that's being stressed as well. So just congratulations to you and your staff, Coach.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
One thing before we close this session out, I think, Coach, I was looking over your paperwork. Everything looked good. Looking at the 17-4 record. But one thing that doesn't mention on here that I would like to see, not just with the football, but the overview of the scope of the whole athletic program, is the discipline aspect of it. I know over the years we had some issues as far as the discipline, but I would like for the sports department, the athletic department to go, and it's just me, that's my opinion, to go to move to zero tolerance. It's something that we need to teach our kids at an early age. because once you move to the collegiate level, Mr. Lofton can express that with his son, they don't take anything less than perfection. And if you come in there with an attitude or you can't be disciplined by your coach, then they'll send you home because they got another guy in the line ready to get down and busy in the same thing that you've been doing. So I would like for us to move forward into that and look into that of moving to the zero tolerance within our athletic department. And to me, I know one coach that I see out there sitting down now. He I don't know if he's still that way, but once upon a time he was a zero tolerance coach, and if you did anything wrong, he blew that whistle. You was either gonna run, you was gonna push towels, aka Mr. Kevin Henry. But he was one of those coaches that didn't take any mess from the kids at that time. But that was something that I want us to look at. I didn't see it on here, and I was seeing that it's something that we could add to that by moving to the zero tolerance, preparing our kids. My thing is preparation, preparing our kids for the next level of life. And I think, and me and Doc talk about this all the time, I think if we continue taking our kids by the hand and spoon feeding them, they will never pick up a spoon and feed themselves. So that's all I have. But other than that, Coach, everything on here looks good. I think we're moving in the right direction with our sports department and development of our kids.
Appreciate it.
Dr. Porter.
Thank you, Coach Morgan, and to your team, your staff and your teams. Thank you for all that you do to make Port Arthur proud.
Thank
Thank you. Next, we move from athletics to academics. We are very, very proud of our students and what they have done, and we want to thank Mr. Kevin Pearson from the YMCA for bringing back youth in government. So thank you. The YMCA is a wonderful place to be. Our students do take advantage of the Y, and we thank Mr. Pearson for leading that charge. I will ask Mr. Courtney Charles to come forward and introduce his students and his assistants throughout the process and tell us exactly what you've done to go to Houston and to Austin and everything else, all the exciting things.
Thank you, Dr. Portery. Well, before I get started, I'd like to acknowledge all board members and just thank you guys for all the work that you do. Because we know that time and health is one of the most important commodities in life. And you guys spend a lot of time behind closed doors, talking and discussing what is best for kids in order to bring the best out of kids so they can add value to our society. Also, I'd like to acknowledge the executive team. I know I've worked a lot with all of them, and they are behind the scene doing a lot of things to help out with the program, the Youth in Government program. And at this time, I would like to just ask the team to stand up. I'll start off with the teachers, the advisors. So I'd like Ms. Nicholas to stand. Ms. Nicholas, she worked very closely with me. We do have some advisors who were not able to make it today, but I'd like to, as well as acknowledge them. That's Lucy Bible, as well as John Goodo, Mr. John Goodo in the early college high school. Okay. Also, Kevin Pearson. He's the CEO of the YMCA Southeast Texas, and he has done a lot. You'll hear a little bit from him as we get into the presentation. And then I asked the students, Karia Wiltz, Dana Nguyen, Jacob Wells, Kaylin Gardner, Mila Myers, Tati Tosin. And these are a mixture of both high school as well as middle school students who put a lot of time and hours and showed a lot of courageous effort to display their talents in Houston at the Youth in Government competition, as well as Austin. Speaking of the middle school, we'll have the high school competing this upcoming month, April 21st through 24th. And then we all know behind students there are great parents. So I'd like to also acknowledge the parents Ms. Myers, Ms. Wiltz, Ms. Bowden, and Mr. Bowden, who is present. Okay. And Mr. Gardner. So these are the parents, and I like to just commend all of them because let me tell you something. Yeah, you guys may say it. You know, I always like to say that one is too small of a number to achieve anything great. And I just was blessed to have great students as well as parents and all of you guys, a team to work with for us to accomplish the things we accomplished with the Youth and Government Program. As we move forward, I'd like to give Mr. Kevin Pierce an opportunity to come and share the history about the Youth and Government Program and give a little bit of background of how it got into the district. And from there, we'll take it from there.
Good evening, Superintendent, Board, Trustee members. So history of youth and government, I'll keep this very simple and won't even read off the slide for you. It started in the late 1930s. It's operated in 40 different states in the United States right now. Started in Texas in 1946. We had a delegation in Port Arthur all the way up until the early 2000s. There are prominent community members now who are either participants in the program or had children that were participants in the program. In the early 2000s, it kind of disappeared. Flash forward to 2020. We all think about the pandemic, but there were more things happening in 2020. And it was a time of social unrest. It was a time of racial justice. It was a time of reckoning. And this has happened to us time and time again in our history. And what happens? It kind of goes away. We want to take advantage of that. In 2020, the YMCA received kind of a windfall grant from the Mackenzie Scott Foundation for child care and child care purposes. And I said, let's allocate some of those dollars towards the kids in our community and teaching them how to engage in civic discourse, how to make a difference. It's easy to say no. It's easy to hold up a sign. It's easy to protest. But we want to teach kids how to make a difference. And that's what this program does. Great quote. Democracy is something that you must learn every generation, from Justice Kennedy. Great quote. Very true. So in 2020, we were able to participate through that grant, covered the cost. The program was done virtually. We had our first set of kids. We had about a dozen kids participate in the Youth and Government Program then. Flash forward to this year, I applied through Capital One. We got some funding for that. We were able to grow the program even more. And so with that, the next slide, we talk a little bit about, do we have the clicker? Oh, here's the clicker right here. Boom, there we go. So as we talk about YMCA values and what that means and why that's important to the kids, those YMCA values are quite simply this: caring, honesty, respect, responsibility. The YMCA mission is to put Christian principles into practice through programs that build healthy spirit, mind, and body for all. This is a tremendous program. It is for all. And those Christian principles are in our values: caring, thinking about others, honesty, doing what is right, what is true, respect, treating others as you want to be treated, and responsibility. Again, that's part of the total package. One other value that we espouse here locally, it's not on the big list that Mr. Charles put up there, is faith. And when we talk about faith in the YMCA, it's more than just believing in a higher power, it's believing in ourselves and believing in each other. And this is a way that we can work forward and make a change in the community through youth and government, through civic engagement. So with that, Mr. Charles.
Thank you, Kevin, for that brief history. Okay. Okay, so I'd like to echo what Mr. Pearson talked about, Kevin. Caring, honesty, respect. A lot of times I know you hear a lot about science and math and reading. And sometimes humanity is a lost art that we forget about as it relates to how important humanities are, social studies, right? So what I really like about the Youth and Government Program is that it brings back that Martin Luther King quote about character plus intelligence it should be the goal of true education. At the foundation of who we are, we have to know who we are and our self-worth, our value, as well as value all those around us. And one of the main missions of youth in government is to create an environment. So because of the YMCA believe in those core values, they believe in solid citizenship, they say, well, we need to figure out a way to do this every day. So what they decided to do was create an environment to which students can increase their political awareness and understand while learning in the meaning of social action through hands-on experience in government. And as we move on in the presentation, you'll see that this is authentic engagement in government activity. And they hope by doing this every day, youth in government hope to see teenagers become responsible citizens and future leaders of our nation. I see Mr. Barty, President Barty, he graduated about 2 years ahead of me, and now he's in a position where he's actually giving back to the community. We hope to see some of those same things in our students, that they could come back and give back, and as well as Dr. Portery, we have a lot of alumni, but I spoke of Brandon because he's close to my age. And, well, Coach Lofton, you know you're okay. So once again, so that's the vision. That's what we hope to see as it relates to this program. So here are some important statistics that we believe was very important to point out. In the state of Texas, primary elections, you have some of the lowest participation in the United States. And we could argue probably it's COVID, but really the numbers has always been low. And you're looking at 17% of 15.2 million who actually really participated. And 2018, 2020, you see we're looking at 25%, and then 2022, we're back at about 17%. So these numbers are staggering. I think they're very interesting because we know that the democratic process is to have a representative government, to have people in place that you feel could support your values and support your community. The impact of youth in government, by the way, by this program aims to address that problem, that challenge that we're having, in particular in the state. And with the youth in government, the impact has increased government participation and increased student participation as they even grow older to be active participants in the democratic process. And these are just some facts and some numbers there. Okay? So the methodology that they use, so we talked about the mission, the vision, who they are, what they do, and now we're talking about how they do it. So how youth in government accomplish its goal is they have 5 different sections that they encourage students to participate in to get hands-on experience with the government process. And that's legislative, judicial, state of affairs, the media, as well as governor's cabinet. So they get an opportunity to actually do what a governor would do and see what that experience is like. So here's a little, I'm not going to read all of this because I think I'm excited and can't wait to hear from the kids, because that's why we're really here. But I just wanted to give you guys a brief overview of each section in the program to show what the kids are exposed to in the program. So the media, we all know the media right now with social media is pretty important, because you have to be able to know which information is true and which information is false. And students who participate in the media, they learn about journalism accountability. They learn about how to research, check their sources, and make sure that understand the systemic things that take place in media. And this year we didn't have any students to participate directly with the media, but they had an opportunity to do interviews with other students from other districts who were in that particular section. Second, we have legislative section. Now this is the opportunity where they actually go to the state capitol building. They get to sit in the chambers. They get to not only create bills and debate their own bills, but they also get to analyze and debate other bills from other students, and it's a very aggressive, if you would. It's really like what you see on TV when you're watching the Senate in action. It's very rigorous, a lot of critical thinking, and it's just an awesome experience to see kids that could act as adults and think critically about the democratic process. Then you have the judicial branch. A while back, we used to go to Beaumont and participate in a mock trial case. That's where you get a real life criminal case, and they have to read all of the facts. They go into the courtroom, and they act as attorneys. They have to, in case they have to prove beyond reasonable doubt, right? Preponderance of evidence, if you would. And this is a great experience to see kids be able to not only claim what is true, but go through the process to prove that truth and articulate very well what they mean and the stories and just make those different connections. Now, this is a time where I'll give the students an opportunity because we participated this year in the State of Affairs component. And basically, this is all about what do you see in your state that could get better? What topics, certain topics, you have educational topics, you had social topics, you had technology, you had health, and they had an opportunity to look at certain topics and create a proposal in which they communicate possible solutions to that problem in a productive way, in a clear way, where delegates at the time could really make a decision to actually vote for it and say that they feel that proposal should pass or not. So at this time, I'm going to we're going to start with the high school, and I'll let all three, they'll like to come together, and they'll tell a little bit about their experience, who they are, what school they attend, their topics, as well as why they feel their topics are important, and a little bit about their experience. Okay?
I'm Dakari Wilkes. I'm in ninth grade at Wilson Area College. So our topic was skill-based education. Skill-based education is basically CATE or CTE programs in high schools across the states, I guess. And in CATE, you have a second chance to find a higher education or to go into a technical career without going into college, because as we can see, most students in our generation, they choose not to go to college or choose to participate less in school. So having a CATE class or CATE program, you're able to like experience experience your career at an early age and get a head start to working. So one thing that I like about the youth and government program is the fact that you can go and you can see the different perspectives and get different point of views that other students have compared to what you have. You're able to see the good and the good in what we think is bad, and you're able to see the negatives in what we think is good.
Hello, my name is Dana Newwind, and I'm from Wilson Early College, and I'm in ninth grade. And to add on to what Dakari Will said, our topic is skill-based education, and why I feel as if skill-based education is important in Texas and how it can help. It helps students get a feeling on what type of field in college they want to pursue. Also, it gives us different experiences. So, like example, like the Cape building, if you're a student and you want to major in computer science, but you also have a feeling that you want to be a nurse, in Cape building, you can go ahead and try to be a nurse. And if you feel like that's your dream, then you can go ahead and pursue it. If you don't, then you can go back to what you want to do. Another thing is that skills education would raise the percentages of students applying for colleges, because due to statistics, at least 45% students didn't apply for college. In my experience with the youth and government program was that I really enjoyed it, and going to Houston and making top 15 and being put in different positions and different perspectives, because whether you agree on the proposal or not, you have to put yourself in a position to be in a pro or a con. Um, Also, it gives me experience on what I would like to do with dealing with law, because personally, I would like to major in pre-law and minor in business. Also, it gives me a voice, and it shows me that it matters, and how I will become an active citizen due to the Youth and Government program. It shows me that voting matters in our community and in our state. Also, it shows me that anyone can do law, or at least try to do law, including females, because a lot of females aren't into politics like that, and I feel as if because they don't have enough experience, or at least want to try. My last thing was, it makes me want to be more involved in our community, mostly with Poor Author ISD. It makes me want to help our community and help other students in my grade, upperclassmen and underclassmen, and just help them any way I can, and make sure that voting is an important thing, because one of the voting things that we went over in, it was in PE class, 55,000 is the population, or around the population of Poor Author ISD, and only 3,000 voted. And a lot of people love to complain about this and that, but I personally feel as if you have the right to vote, and you could vote, and you don't vote, you don't really have no room to complain, because you're not trying to make a change. And now I'll move on to my other.
Hello, my name is Jacob Wells. I'm in the ninth grade from Wilson Early College. And I believe the Youth and Government program is very beneficial because it helps people understand different perspectives on present problems in our society today. And through this understanding, it grants these people the ability to become more of an active citizen in our society. And one of my favorite things about the Youth and Government program is that it allowed me to speak more confidently about things that I believe are right and wrong. And just brightens, it opens my eyes to many different perspectives on things that I may have not noticed before. And that's all I have to say there.
Do y'all have any comments or concerns?
Any questions from the trustees?
Congratulations, I think you all
Thank
did
you.
an excellent job.
That was pretty awesome. See, they analyzing and thinking critically. Okay, so at this time, I'll have the middle school students to come and just share their experience. Now, they actually had an opportunity to compete in Austin in February, and it was really, they really had a good time. So we'll start with,
Hi, my name is Tatiana Tosin. I'm in 8th grade at Abraham Lincoln Middle School, and my topic was homelessness in Texas. For my topic, we had to tell and show how we would help the homeless people, and my experience was awesome. I got to participate and see how a court really is run. I got to see how to vote for pros and cons, and I got to just have fun and work as a group. For my topic, we had to tell and give details about it. I said that we will support permanent housing. We will have mental health issues. We will have mental health issues solved, and we will have education problems solved. Usually, people who are homeless usually all have these problems, like they don't have job opportunities, mental health issues, or they have health problems. This is a big conflict in Texas that we oversee, and mostly whenever we are driving, we see other people on the street, and we just pass by without thinking of what they go through day by day. So to help this problem, we will provide permanent supportive housing, low-income assistance, and create an effective response system. Yes, we know that we cannot all solve homelessness because when people usually get off the streets, they go right back to being on the streets. So what we are going to do to get the money, we are going to have fundraisers and a Go page where we will get donors to help and support systems of my experience in the youth government was that I got to see how to collaborate as a group and how to do a group project with knowing I have the support of my peers. The thing I liked the most about youth in government was that the program is an opportunity to practice real world problems. It lets us get an opportunity to make a change, and it helps us listen to other propositions and proposals and make a statement on how we would like it. One thing I really loved was that we had the opportunity to go and see how the court was run. We worked as a group, and it was very fun. Um, Youth in Government program will help me in life by allowing me to play a role and be involved in how to solve problems, locally and statewide. It also helps me work together to get problems solved. And it teaches me how to be more confident in what I do and teaches me how to think more with my friends. I also love that how whenever we were on the bus that Mr. Courtney Charles helped us. And I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Courtney Charles and Miss Nicholas for being there. And even for my first time when I was nervous, they were there to support me and lift me up. And thank you. That's all.
Hi, my name is Mila Myers, and I'm an 8th grader at Abraham Lincoln Middle School. And my topic was homelessness in Texas. And I think a lot of people oversee the importance of knowing about homelessness in Texas because, everyone in here has seen a homeless person and we sympathize for them. But, sometimes we don't know how to help. And making this my topic, I like to put some light on the problem and try to help. And as a state, I think we should do more and try to get these people off the street because I think that's what we should strive for as a state and help everybody have a home of their own. I loved being able to talk to other students who had the same mindset as me as far as education and academics because they were all serious about academics. And that really surprised me, and at first I was really nervous because I didn't really know what I was doing. And after talking to the other students, I got more comfortable, and it made me want to participate more. And I like that being a part of this program, I've been able to really see how the government works and how to help. And at first I didn't really see the importance of participating, but now I see why I should be able to vote because my voice should be heard. And if I have the opportunity to have my voice be heard, I should take part of that. Thank you.
My name is Kaylin Gardner. I'm from Abraham Lincoln Middle School. I'm in 8th grade. And my topic when we went to Ymca Youth in Government for Austin, it was overrepresentation of Black and Latinos in the disciplinary refraction system. And it was very important because things such as the incident that happened across TJ and fights going on every day in our schools, not only here in PISD, but also all around Texas, is a huge problem. And I believe that it will help the state because developing things such as restorative practices and culturally responsive teaching will not only give us the benefit of the doubt that we are better citizens, but it would also better our character. And what I liked the most about the Youth in Government program was that it gave us the opportunity to see how fellow governors like Mr. Greg Abbott debates and gives his topics off and proposals, and it gives us, and I think that it is important for the Youth in Government program, and it shows us how to be an active citizen by showing us how to vote. And like Mala said and Tatiana said and everyone else said, if we have the right to vote, we should do it, and we shouldn't complain about it. Because if we want our voice to be heard, besides talking about it on social media, we should actually get out and do something about it.
All right. Hold on. I think we have some questions from some of the trustees at the moment. But before Ms. Ambrose go, that's my little nephew. His daddy a pastor. You see, he's about to start preaching in a minute. Go ahead, Ms. Ambrose.
Listen, I am very proud of all of our children. I'm especially proud for you all to be here in front of us tonight. But I've got to say something, Mila. I mean, I remember when you were born, and now I guess my age is really showing. So I am so proud of all of you. I mean, it's like parental pride. So congratulations to all of you. You did a wonderful job. PISD is so much better because of our students. So God bless you all, and I love y'all. Good job.
Mr. Courtney Charles, oh, no, come on, come forward. We'd like to thank you for everything that you've done with these group of kids and the YMCA. Thank you for what you've done with these group of kids. One thing I want to show them, you said one thing that, you know, giving back to the community. I am not the only one who's up here and giving back to the community and who's a product of Port Arthur Independent School District. And I see a lot of faces that's out in the crowds that are Port Arthur Independent School District alumni. And if you are a product of Port Arthur Independent School District, I want you to stand so the students can see who you are. So you can be anything you want to be. We have executive members here, assistant superintendents, we have coaches, you have everybody that's here. So anybody that you portray to be, anything that you want to be in the future, you can be. And Mr. Courtney Charles, I like what you're doing. I have another, well, I would like to see another side of the government, the school side of it. And I wouldn't mind having these kids be up here and doing something. I would have the name for it. I wrote the name down. It's Board of Trustees Youth Board. And I would like to see something happen with that. The Board of Trustees Youth Board. And if you can take that and run with it, I'll be appreciative with it. And have these kids come here and do the jobs that we do and the job of the superintendent to see how much we care for them and what we do in order to get there, to have their education go along the way.
Thank you, President Brandon Barty. I appreciate that. And I'm gonna be very quick because I know we spending time here. But it's kind of interesting because some of the kids were talking about Aspiring Teachers Academy for students. I had a student who talked to me, say, I want to be a teacher. You know, I think it would be really cool if we could have an opportunity to act as teachers and see if we'll like it before we go to college for it. So it's kind of that thing of kind of flipping the position, and they observe a lot of that because when you go here, if you look, the kids are doing all of the work. They're doing all of the talking. Adults are just watching. I mean, when they saw that was, I guess that's why they were kind of a little nervous at the beginning. But then by the time they left, they were asking, where are you guys from? You guys did awesome. You know, so that was a very, very great experience. And I'd like to commend Kaylin and Maya. Mala, she was actually an alternate. I mean, she only had probably a couple of days to prepare because due to the COVID restrictions, we had an emergency where we had to switch some things up. And I mean, she showed up and showed out.
Perfect.
And so that was awesome. So we were looking, and then Kaylin and Quan is absent today, but they actually placed top 10 out of like 58 teams. And this is their very, very first year doing that. You know, and the only thing that cut short, they said that they'd actually live in more questions. They actually got medals. We'd have brought medals back home. And I mean, it was really great. So we're looking for the high school students to bring us back some medals. So here's the upcoming event. So if you guys are interested, there in April 21st, we'll have some more competition going on.
Question, pardon the interruption. Do you have a delegation that will be attending Boys State? I know it's exclusively for boys, but will you send a delegation then to Austin for Boys State?
I have to find out more about that program before I could probably give a response. So, but thank you so much. So April 21st to 24th, the high school will go and compete and represent PISD academically. And we hope to to show that we have some academic minds and some future leaders in our community here. So this is pictures here, and we have this in the board thing, we could read that. But there are some pictures there in the chambers, they sitting down. You have Midas Kwan, the teachers, and in the upper left-hand corner we had a group of 16, so that was some of our accomplishments. And we actually had more to participate, but some kind of dropped out or couldn't attend the actual conference. So we had 8 out of 16 advanced, and we had the 2 juniors, that was Kaylin as well as Quan. And last but not least, the future of the Youth in Government program in Port Arthur ISD. We're looking to continue to increase student participation in all sections of the program. So as we move forward, we're looking to get more legislative participants, get them to do some mock trials, especially those aspiring attorneys. I believe we have some of them even here who want to be an attorney when they get older. So, and just as well as Model UN program. So that's a bigger program. That's where they're actually modeling like national, international topics. And we hoping to get kids so that now they talking to different delegates from around the whole country, as opposed to just to the state, and they're dealing with world issues, okay? And then last but not least, I'll give Kevin an opportunity to share some of the funding, like the funding, future funding opportunities and things like that, and they'll conclude our presentation.
I want to do one quick plug for Model UN. We haven't started doing Model UN on a statewide level yet. It's been operated out of Dallas primarily. But Model UN is amazing. It teaches cooperative conflict resolution for teenagers. Think about that. That's cool stuff. Future funding, as I mentioned earlier, we were able to do this in 2020. We were able to pay the full bill. And the same with 2021. In part, I'll be honest, we had another school district also lined up to participate this year, and they just ghosted at the last minute. So that meant Port Arthur ISD got all the funds. So that worked out well. I can't guarantee that in the future, but I'm going to try to keep. I'll keep writing grants and I'll keep applying for funds. But you know, at some point we are going to have to ask more people in the community to help out and ask the school district for some resources to help get these kids going. But this is it's a great program, as you guys heard. I'm super passionate about this program. So much so that the State Alliance said, "Oh, Kevin likes this program. He's in charge of the Youth Development Committee for the State Alliance," and now we're in the process of hiring a new director for Youth in Government. So this is great, great for this community, great for these kids, great for the district. I'm really excited and happy to be able to bring it to you all. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr.
And the last thing, it's specific individuals I like to just acknowledge before I leave, because they really had a big part to play. And first, beginning with Dr. Portery, I wouldn't even known about the Youth in Government program if he didn't give me the email and connect me with Kevin here. So Dr. Portery, words could not express the gratitude for giving me that opportunity. I also like to thank Dr. Owens in the back. Some people know as Dr. Morales, but she did a whole lot as well to give me the liberty and the freedom to trust me to do the work that needed to be done in order to get the kids there. She approved things. I also like to commend Ms. Robin Beatty because that's part of that SSI partnership community deal. She did a whole lot of work, and she's doing some other things with Salvation Army, some other good things going on. So just thank you so much, Ms. Beatty, for your work. And last but not least important, Ms. Lott has been just wonderful. Okay, she actually had the story to go to Beaumont Enterprise, and she worked some miracles, and she had to fight too, and I really thank her for that. So thank you so much, Ms. Lott. And then Dr. Geltwood. Dr. Geltwood, transportation and all that other good stuff. He was like, "Mr. Charles, it's for the kids. I'm all for the kids. You just tell me what you think we need, and I'll get that done." So Dr. Geltwood, thank you. I really appreciate it. And this concludes. If y'all don't have any other questions, comments, concerns, just thank you guys. Kids, you guys did wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So you guys made me look a whole lot better than maybe what I should get credit for. So thank you, parents. Thank you for coming out. You guys do our heart well when you come and we see you guys, because we know you guys are the ones behind kids. It truly takes a village to raise kids. So thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Charles.
Thank you.
Dr. Porter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Charles, for all of your work, your extra work beyond the regular duty day. And Mr. Pearson, I know I'm going to speak for the board and everyone else. We are behind you, and we are going to support this. So don't worry about, I'm going to say this, I know Ms. Davis and Ms. Jeans may cringe, but don't worry about the funds. We got it. And that concludes our
Staff report.
Staff reports.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Porter. Moving along to minutes. Consider and if appropriate approve the minutes of the February 24, 2020 board meeting. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
A second? I have a motion on the floor by Trustee Ambrose, second by Vice President Lofton. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. The following items which are recurring nature, routine and recurring nature has been designated consent agenda items by board president per policy BE local. All of the items in the consent agenda will be acted upon by one vote without being discussed separately unless requested by a trustee. In which event the item or items will be withdrawn immediately for individual consideration in its normal sequence after the items not requiring separate discussion has been acted upon. Trustees, I'm going to give you a minute to go through the consent agenda items.
Mr. President, I'd like to pull number 10 for just a brief moment, please, sir.
Number 2.
As I make some clarification.
Does somebody like to get a motion for consent agenda items number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 11? So I have a motion on the floor by Vice President Lofton, second by Trustee Guillory. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Ambrose?
I want to be clear, number 10, this is the same group of students that will be attending the conference. This is the same group?
This is high school.
Just the high school?
Yeah.
Would you all stand up so I can see which one? Okay, so you'll.
Middle school went to Austin already.
Right,
They
okay,
competed, so now we have high
good luck
school.
to y'all, congratulations again in advance. That's all I need to know, Mr. President.
Okay, consent agenda item number 10. I guess a motion on the floor.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion on the floor by Trustee Ambrose, second by Vice President Lofton. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Personnel. Dr. Porter.
President Barty, board members, I'm asking for consideration, we'll do each individual, consideration for the approval of employment of teachers, which you have.
So moved.
I have a motion on the floor by Trustee Ambrose and second by Vice President Lofton. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Porter.
I'm asking for consideration of non-renewal of probationary employment contracts.
So moved.
I have a motion on the floor and a second by Vice President Lofton. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Consider, and if appropriate, approve return of probationary status of employment contracts.
So moved.
I have a motion on the floor by Trustee Ambrose, second by Trustee Guillory. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Consider, and if appropriate, approve renewal of probationary status of employment contracts.
So moved.
I have a motion on the floor by Trustee Ambrose, second by Vice President Lofton. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Consider, and if appropriate, approve renewal of 2-year employment contracts for professionals.
So moved.
I have a motion on the floor by Trustee Ambrose and second by Vice President Lofton. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
And consider, and if appropriate, approve renewal of 2-year employment contracts for administrators.
So moved.
I have a motion on the floor by Trustee Ambrose, second by Vice President Lofton. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Information, Dr. Porter.
Enrollment, 7,993. Attendance, 91.36%.
Thank you, Dr. Porter. Thank you, Port Arthur Independent School District staff. Thank you, students of Port Arthur Independent School District. At this time, I will call adjournment of the meeting at 7:39 p.m. We have a motion on the floor by Trustee Ambrose, second on the floor by Vice President Lofton. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.